So, happy Wednesday evening, August 18th, here at our Board of Education meeting. I'm going to read a couple things first, and then if we do have public comment, as they come in, I will reiterate instructions for public comment, since we have a unique setup here tonight. So we welcome those who are here for the purpose of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. If they wish to speak during the meeting, they will fill out a form indicating their name on the agenda and the agenda item to which they would like to address. They may also request to give testimony on an item not listed for discussion today. However, a full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed until such time as the item, can be publicly posted in advance at a regular agenda item. I will remind speakers as they come in of the 3 minutes that they have, and that they should address all comments to the chair and not to individual board members and or staff members. And our former president here has just reminded that I forgot to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You did it this morning, Megan. Ms. Crackhead, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Please rise. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Diana. And here it is, Pledge of Allegiance and call to order. So, public hearing, we have none. Call for agenda items for separate action and adoption of the agenda as posted. Can I get a motion, please?
I move approval.
Second.
And I'm going to do roll call votes one by one tonight. So, Board Member Kerr.
Aye.
Board Member Craighead.
Aye.
Board Member Otto.
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that's 4-0 with one absentee. Approval of minutes. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Board Member Kerr, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Craighead.
Aye.
Board Member Otto. Aye. And I vote aye, so that is a 4-0 with one absent. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We don't have a school student board member with us here tonight, but we do have a communications video. Mr. Itzen, can we roll video? I love that. I was going to say roll take one.
Hi, I'm Cosette Cordova. I use she, her pronouns, and I've been at Long Beach Unified School District for going on 13 years as a senior at Poly High School. Some of the ways that I've taken the initiative to follow my interests at my own school are by enrolling in classes that fall in line with them. So for example, one thing that I'm passionate about is social justice and instilling equity in every setting that can be instilled. And so I've worked with the Student Equity Leadership Team along with Dr. Brown and Civility and Curriculum teams, which has been an extremely gratifying experience. And I also enrolled in Ethnic Studies as a 0 period last year, which was extremely educational and has made me not only a more educated but aware human. And as well, my other passion is mental health, and next year I'm enrolling in a class called Mental Health Professional, and I hope to become a peer counselor at Poly. Some of the activities that I've participated in outside of school include volunteering at a program and organization called Rising Tide, and it's catered to low-income and multicultural families as an after-school and summer program. And so I volunteer there as a tutor for young kids and as a camp counselor for a soccer camp. And for my mental health interest, I am currently creating and starting a podcast with a specific section dedicated to mental health.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Itzen. So I know why I missed the pledge, because I missed the whole first page of our agenda. And I failed to report that the board had been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's closed session agenda, and we wish to report that no reportable actions were taken. So there we go. I'm back on track here, Brent. So that was a great video. Thank you for that. Our students are awesome. No doubt about it. So let's begin with public testimony on items listed on our agenda. I will begin reading folks' names, and then as they approach our podium, I'll remind them about our protocols here for public comment. So let's begin with Shalia Camille Desmond. Shalia Camille Desmond. Hi, Shalia. Is that how I pronounce your name?
Yes.
So you have 3 minutes, and if you're going to address the board, you must address the chair, no individual members of the board or individual staff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, before you start, I think it'll make things go quicker if you ask for the next person in line so they can be on deck, so to speak. Yeah,
Does that
because
sound
it
okay,
takes.
James? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
suggestion. Jazz Desmond is our next speaker. Jazz Desmond. Thank you. Great suggestion, Diana. Sorry about that, Shalia.
That's okay.
You can start.
Okay. Good evening, School Board Chair. My name is Shalia Camille Desmond, and I'm commenting on item 20.1 regarding the equity policy. I'm a parent organizer with Long Beach Forward, and I'm also an organizer with Black Lives Matter Long Beach. I'm also a native Californian and a graduate of Options for Youth. I attended college in New York City, and I started my career in special education in schools there. So I've worked on behalf of schools, in schools, and now I'm working with Long Beach Forward, helping our community members engage with their schools and the school district. I'm really inspired by the courageous equity leadership presenters and the team members. They spent months working to draft the start of an equity policy for the district. Something that really stuck out to me from the equity presentation yesterday was the mother who said she integrated schools on the east side in 1975 and now stood before you asking you to help her continue building a city where her children could thrive. I felt like, as the district aligns its goals and programs with funding, the work of the parents and the caregivers of our students at the schools will be like the rubber band that holds the braid together, keeping the braid intact for years to come. So I had some questions too as I was thinking about the future. I want to raise kids here one day and raise them in LBUSD schools. So I wonder, how does this equity work impact Long Beach like 100 years from now? Or in the future, what will 2021 say on the timeline of progress for Long Beach? Because the data I was seeing and the data that was presented showed that Black students had been left out of that vision for the future. And I could sense that you all are now engaging with the why. And I really want this equity work to succeed. And I think that centering the marginalized folks among us is the right approach. We really need to center those who need it the most right now, this school year, right now. Black lives matter, Black feelings matter, and Black futures matter. But I want to end by saying I see opportunities everywhere I look. I see passionate community builders everywhere, all around me. I hear commitments from stakeholders at every level saying, I will show up to do this important work. So I'm here today to say, I am here to do the work too, and I welcome any opportunities to connect and build together. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalia. Next speaker after Jazz is Marisela de Rivera. Marisela de Rivera.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Jazz. You have 3 minutes. Please direct your comments to the board chair and not to individual members or individual staff.
Amazing, thank you. Well, good evening. My name is Jazz Desmond, and I am commenting on item 20.1 regarding the equity policy. I have been an artist involved in enriching youth through theater, English tutoring, and mentorship. Students with disabilities, Black, Indigenous, and Brown children, and all those who intersect those backgrounds call on all of you to make decisions to enrich their lives as much as those who do not have those same intersecting backgrounds. not so that they may turn around and give back, but because they deserve opportunities to thrive. As someone who has laid their roots here, who is married here, and hopes to raise my children here, I hope the decisions made here will positively impact my family and the families of my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. So James, after Maricela, we have Nicholas Carbonaro. Nicholas Carbonaro. Hi,
Hello.
Maricela. You have 3 minutes. Please address your comments to the board chair and not to individual members of the board or staff.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maricela de Rivera. I am a proud First District board member, and I really appreciate you, Chair Benitez, or President Benitez, I believe, bringing today the excellence and equity policy forward. I simply want to say that as a member of the equity leadership team, I was here yesterday and part of the presentation. I wanted to come today and just say how important this is. Important that it was brought by the board. Of course, it came after many protests and years of inequity and years of struggle in our country from our founding. But that doesn't mean you had to be brave enough to say, it's time to put this in writing and make this formal, our commitment to all of our students. And I'm very proud to have been part of the equity leadership team. I'm very proud to be a parent with students in Long Beach Public Schools. You all continue to show us with your commitment to this policy, with your commitment to implementation and accountability, how important this is. And I'm just very, very grateful. There is nothing more important to me than equity. As a parent whose children go to a very well parent-supported school on the east side, we not only have a very well funded and active PTA, we also have a well-funded and active foundation. And my children have absolutely benefited from that. And I am standing here to say this equity policy is critical because there's no reason that my children should have more than the children who go to the neighborhood schools in North Long Beach where we actually live. There's no reason for it. I love my children and they're the center of my universe, but they are not the actual center of the universe. And when I talked to my soon-to-be, 11 days away now, first grader, and she asked what I was doing yesterday, and she asked what I'm doing today. And I told her, and she talked about her friends who live and go to school in our neighborhood, and she was like, of course I would give something up if it's fair. And I just want to remind you that that is absolutely what we're talking about. Equity is not going to be easy, and you are all brave for voting for this. And I trust that you will. I know that you will. I know how committed you are to this. And I'm so very grateful to be part of Long Beach Unified School District. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maricela. So after Nicholas, we have Lilia Ocampo. Lilia. Mhm.
Delia Ocampo, and Nicholas was first. If Nicholas is here, if he's not.
Lilia, Lilia.
And Lilia will be next. Lilia will be next.
Oh, I'm up. Thank you. Can I take this off? Yeah?
No, you have to leave the mask on. You have 3 minutes to address the board, and please make your comments directed at the board chair, not at any individual member of the board or staff.
Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Nick Carbonaro, and I am a professor at Long Beach City College. I want to first premise off and say thank you so much for letting me speak. The second thing I want to say is that the views expressed here are mine and mine alone, not my employer, not my wife, who works for the District of Long Beach Unified, not anybody else, just mine and mine alone. I come here because I wanted to talk to you about the video that I saw yesterday on YouTube where the critical race theory and the equity and diversity team presented. And I had a little issue with one of the things that I saw. It said, and I'll just read straight from it. It said, while the mission of LBUSD is to provide a high-quality education for all children, this policy will center the experience of BIPOC and children with disabilities to ensure that groups that have been historically discriminated against by white supremacist laws and systems will be uplifted. Now, the last time I was in this boardroom was when you guys were honoring my mom, who worked for the district for 30 years. So when I heard that, I got a little offended. That my parents, me, my wife, are part of a white supremacist laws and systems. So my question is this, which I didn't hear them present yesterday on the YouTube channel. Number one, which laws are white supremacists? Give me specific examples of school districts, teachers, or anybody that's promoting these white supremacist laws, and we should get rid of them, correct? I mean, that would be the most obvious thing to do. Number two, there are already laws on the books. Title 6 and 7 of the Civil Rights Act, ADA of 1990, Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act of 2008, Prop 209 in California, California Gov Code Section 1135, and so on and so forth. Number two, the systems. What do they mean by systems? Who are these racists out there that are doing things? When I look at the people who are presenting this, I want to find solutions as well. So my solution says the system has been run by liberal Democrats for decades. Majority of board are endorsed by Democrat or union organization. Majority of board has been in the system. Majority of teachers vote Democrat. Teacher unions endorse candidates have occupied the system for decades. So I guess the only logical thing that we should do is put people in place that have another type of diverse opinion on that. So number one, I would love for the board right now to endorse the recall and endorse Larry Elder. He's the first black governor of California if he gets elected, and he's not from the system, comes outside of the system. And because of these, and because of this, my kids, unfortunately, are not going to be in this school district next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Lilia's
So-
next.
After Lilia, we have Mariela Salgado.
Mariela is next.
Lilia, you have 3 minutes to address the board. We ask you to direct your comments to the board chair and to not any individual on the board or on staff.
Thank you.
Claro. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Lilia Ocampo. Soy madre de 2 hijos en el distrito, uno de ellos en educación especial. Ellos todavía no tienen, ellos tienen 11 años o todavía no pueden tomar la vacuna y pues por lo tanto es un problema para mí que no haya el suficiente cuidado en las escuelas sobre protección contra el COVID y pues tampoco es una opción para mí que ellos se queden en estudiar independiente en la casa porque pues sobre todo mi hijo, el que es de educación especial.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lilia Ocampo. I am a mom of 2 children in the district, and one of them is in special education. I am here today because I want to go ahead and express my concerns. My kids are both under 11 and are not eligible for the vaccination. I am worried that there isn't enough protection against COVID, and independent study is also not an option for me with them learning from home.
So, no creo que el aprendizaje independiente sea la opción para ellos. Se supone que los estudiantes deben de recibir servicios del distrito con instructores y personal que están calificados y con todas sus credenciales necesarias. Y yo no tengo esas credenciales para hacerlo en la casa.
I don't think that independent study is an option for them. I am under the impression that the district needs to provide these services with qualified and credential staff. I am not that person.
Y también no entiendo cómo es que se puede garantizar la equidad a los estudiantes que se quedarán en casa y cómo es que se van a implementar los 4 pilares que la doctora Jill Baker desea implementar este año escolar, y también cómo se va eso a ver con la equidad. Entonces, por favor, quiero que consideren muy bien la forma en cómo están tratando de ofrecer su educación a nuestros estudiantes.
I don't understand how the equity is going to be guaranteed, especially to the students that have been learning at home. How are those four pillars going to be applied? And that came from Dr. Jill Baker. How is that going to be implemented? I want to know how equity is going to be looking. So please consider these things for the education of our children.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilia. So after Mariela, we have Amber Vera Mendoza.
Hi, everyone. My name's
Hi, Mariela. Before you begin, just want to remind you, you have 3 minutes, and please address your comments to the board chair and to not any individual board member or staff.
Got it.
Thank
My
you.
apologies. My name's Mariela Salgado. I'm a parent of 2 elementary age students and Parks Commissioner. And today I wanted to support, I think Lilia spoke before me, I wanted to support that. I have a master's in business administration, and will tell you that I didn't feel prepared to teach my kids. So the idea that this independent virtual study, the onus is on the parent to educate or support their child. I know a gentleman earlier spoke about, what policies, what structures, what systems. Well, virtual independent school is one system that's not going to be equitable. It's also not fair that you have parents who are monolingual. There's a huge digital divide in our city who do not have access to this information currently, who don't know that on August 20th, they have to make a decision, who aren't connected as much as other folks. And I think it's important that as this decision proceeds and how you all implement it, that you all do make a conscious effort to communicate that information to parents in a hard copy for those that are not connected like the rest of us. That information needs to be in their language, and there has to be resources around that support so that they make a sound decision come August 31st. The other thing I wanted to talk about was on items on the equity policy, and I wanted to read something that I pulled up from the policy yesterday, and I wanted to read it, because sometimes people don't pull it up. As we center equity, it's important that we also hold responsibility for the ways in which K-12 educational institutions have participated or collaborated in systemic oppression of Black, Indigenous, and people of color students and those with disabilities. This policy creates a path forward through informed professional development and a focus on dismantling internal practices that are racist, oppressive, and exclusive for specific individuals or groups of students. While this policy reflects our district values, it is designed with the recognition that our work around equity will be guided by the data that we gain through continued engagement with students and families. Now, you all have the blinds closed, but I will tell you that there are protesters outside, and the majority of them are white anti-maskers. I'm in this fight, and I continue to show up at my own time, because 30 years later, I don't want my kids to experience the same experience I had, which is I went to predominantly white schools. As diverse as our city is, I want my kids to have diversity in background and thought process. So I show up, and I continue to show up because it's important to me, and I think it's important to you all as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariela. Hi, Amber. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Please direct any comments directly to the board chair and not to individual members of our board or staff.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, school board members and staff. My name is Amber Vera Mendoza. I am speaking today regarding agenda item 20.2. I'm currently a PTA board and school side council member, an active parent in my school community for 4 years, and a parent of 2 District 5 elementary school age students under the age of 12, one of which is at high risk of serious and deadly outcomes from COVID-19. I'm here again for 2 reasons. First, I would like to thank the board, Dr. Baker and Mr. Moskowitz, for finally clarifying that a student will not lose their spot at their home school if they choose independent studies, and addressing the community's feeling of being punished if they chose independent studies. Also, to Dr. Brown, for sharing the reasoning behind the district's strategic communication of information driven by daily changing data and guidance. Although I believe many families like mine want to know all the information as soon as possible, I understand and appreciate the reason. May I suggest a greater effort in communicating the reasons behind the strategy to the public from the beginning? Second, I am here for clarification and answers to the remainder of my questions regarding independent studies. They were not answered at all at the pre-recording webinar or during yesterday's workshop. There are over 2,300 questions submitted for the webinar, and the district handpicked only 15. Why? Again, that is less than 1% of the questions submitted. To continue the dissemination of information and to help reduce distrust of the district and or anxiety for families wanting to make the right decision, I strongly suggest you answer the following questions and have the information widely distributed as soon as possible. 1, if a family chooses independent studies, is there a contract time commitment, i.e. a year or a semester? 2, will the district abide by AB 130 legislation, section 51749.5, number 9, which states a plan to transition pupils whose families wish to return to in-person instruction from court-based independent study, I had trouble with this one, expeditiously and in no case later than 5 instructional days. 3, how will the district handle the huge influx of students of families who initially chose independent studies and once fully vaccinated want to return in person? 4, what does independent studies look like for a DI student? 5, will their teacher be accredited DI bilingual teacher in the independent studies? I strongly suggest you answer these questions today, as a family considering independent studies must contact their school by this Friday to start the process. Also, please communicate all these answers, previous and new information regarding independent studies from the workshop to our families as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amber. So those were all the public comments that we had for items on the agenda. We will move on to public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. And we will start with Arthi Harper. Arthi?
Arthi.
And the next person is Paul Evans. Arthi and Paul.
Arthi and then Paul. Arthi, then Paul. Arthi and Paul? Arthi. Paul. Arthi and Paul. Paul next. Paul will be second. Can you spell the first one?
Arthi, A-A-R-T-H-I. Arthi.
A-A-R-T-H-I?
Yeah, it's Artie, but she pronounces it Arthi. Yeah. Hi, Arthi.
Hi.
So just reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Please direct your comments to the board chair and not to any individual member or staff.
Okay, thank you. My name is Arthi Harper, and I'm an East Long Beach District 4 parent of 2 students under age 12. I'm here today because I believe it shouldn't have to happen to you for it to matter to you. You shouldn't have to get infected with COVID to care about the safety of those more vulnerable. You shouldn't have to have a child with a learning or medical disability for you to care about equitable education options. Our children have handled the responsibilities and challenges of this pandemic better than so many of us adults. We owe it to them to implement all 5 safety protocols recommended by health experts for safe school reopening: masking, vaccination, ventilation, distancing, and testing. I am grateful to Long Beach Unified for implementing masking, vaccination, ventilation, and distancing. That said, I ask that in an abundance of caution, you expand masking to outdoors when distancing cannot be maintained, especially for elementary schools where all students remain unvaccinated. I also ask that more than encouraging staff to distance students, you develop clear and defined distancing protocols, not only for indoors, but for outdoor spaces, for school-a-day activities, especially lunch where all students will be unmasked. The missing protocol is weekly testing. We need to implement weekly testing to protect the thousands of students under age 12, as well as our medically vulnerable staff and students. With regards to the independent study option, a more detailed and timely instructional plan is needed for students with disabilities. AB 130 states districts can decide their own learning plans, so please use the Federal CARE Act's money to do more than the minimum. Many of the parents choosing this option are elementary school parents who are only doing this because their kids can't be vaccinated yet. Based on yesterday's board workshop, it sounds like students will likely not lose their spot at their current school, but and please clarify that tonight, and please put that in the next district update, because there are a lot of families that, based on the perception they have from past communications, are feeling increased anxiety about that. Finally, district communications. So much trust could be built and so much worry reduced if more details like the slides from yesterday's board workshops and today's workshops were included in district communications to families. In these 2 weeks before school starts, I implore district leadership and principals to provide as much detail as possible to families. We know these are very dynamic times with details changing to you daily, sometimes hourly, but it's better to say to parents, hey, here's what we're considering, but we've not yet confirmed, than not acknowledging what parents are most concerned about until every detail is known. The lack of acknowledgement, unfortunately, breeds distrust and unnecessary anxiety. I hope the new communications director will consider this in their community engagement strategy. Thank you for your time, and let's keep prioritizing the needs of our most vulnerable over those of our most advantaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Arti. After Paul, James, after Paul, we have Carlos Ovalle. Carlos.
Carlos. Carlos. Carlos.
Hi, Paul. So you have 3 minutes to address the board. Please direct your comments to the board chair and not to any individual member of the board or staff.
The comment is to everybody, to all the board members. My name is Carlos Ovalle, 7th District.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, Carlos. James, we had Paul before Carlos?
Correct. He refused to wear a mask.
Okay. Sorry about that, Carlos. Yes.
Not a problem. I have a lot of friends and family who are frontline medical doctors, registered nurses, who get to see all sorts of unfortunate incidents. They get to hold people's hands as they die on a ventilator. A few years ago, my father passed away, intubated, not because of COVID, but for other reasons. And he died in my arms. It's a horrible thing to experience. Well, it's a horrible thing to see. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be in his shoes. There's no reason for anyone not to wear a mask. I have asthma. I ride my bicycle everywhere I go. I don't own a car. And as you can see, I wear a mask. And I'm vaccinated. There's no reason for everyone not to be vaccinated and with a mask for religious purposes or any other purpose. So I want to commend the Long Beach Unified School District for requiring staff to wear a mask and for getting vaccinated. I would encourage you to request that everyone get vaccinated. Getting tested in lieu of vaccination, to me, is not acceptable as a parent of LBUSD students. I have a daughter who is also an LBUSD teacher, a daughter-in-law, and a niece who are all LBUSD teachers. I am afraid for their safety and their health and safety, and so please don't listen to these anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers. Please push forward, and thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. So James, I'm going to give you two names, Marisela de Rivera, who just spoke, and then Mariela Salgado, who just spoke. So Marisela first, then Mariela.
Marisela, then Mariela.
Hi again, Marisela.
Hello again. I just wanted to speak on reopening, or well, I guess it's not called reopening anymore. It's the beginning of school. And I just want to say that I have no doubt in my mind that the school board or any of the senior staff are going to be dissuaded from following science, and I'm grateful for you. I know that there's a lot of, differing opinions and sides and whatnot, and I simply want to say that as a mom who admittedly is a little bit of a helicopter mom, maybe a lot, I err on the side of caution all the time, right? I have like the steel reinforced car seats and all of those things. And so I would ask that if we have more tools in our toolbox to keep not just our children and not just our teachers, but the entirety of our staff safe and our community, because we know this is communicable, we know that it's airborne, let's use all those tools. And if that's testing, if that's masking outside, I know this is not going to be perfect. I know that there will be times that we all fail. Somebody will forget to wash hands. I mean, they're children, and that's understandable. I simply ask that we do our best and really think about doing our best in relation to COVID, because this is also an equity issue. Black and brown people are being harmed at a far greater rate. And as I mentioned yesterday, my husband's 6-day hospital stay is a huge financial risk for my family. And so not all of us can weather this quite as well. The love of my life came home from the hospital. He is fine. And so that is absolutely worth celebrating. And I believe that our children will be as safe as we can. I simply ask that we use all of the things that we have available to us to keep all of the community safe. And I'm so grateful for you, because I know that you want that. I know how much you want to keep our kids safe, and your staff and our community. I know many of you live in our community and care also. And so I just thank you, Dr. Benitez, for this time.
Thank you,
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Marisela. So James, after Mariela, we have Serena Sampson. Serena. Hi again, Mariela.
Hello again, and excuse me for causing some ruckus outside. My name is Mariela Salgado, and I wanted to speak on 2 items that are not on the agenda today. One is regarding budgets. LBUSD received $211.9 million in ESSER funds to be used through 9/24 to address the impact of COVID, including learning loss and the increased need for mental health services, and to meet the needs of low-income students English learners, students of color, students experiencing homelessness, students in the foster care system, and students with disabilities. Districts must involve parents and other stakeholders in developing a plan to use these funds. Given the plans are due on October 29th, what are your plans for robustly engaging the community in decisions around how to use the $211 million? I also wanted to say that, I forgot to say that earlier, I wanted to applaud the equity leadership team and their efforts, as I know we're all trying to stay involved and engaged in the process here. The other thing I wanted to just mention is, yesterday I spoke as a small business owner. I just wanted to say there was an article on ABC News regarding COVID testing. And they did a baseline COVID testing spots where 3,600 plus positive cases were captured. It says here, with the LA Unified District requiring students and staff to go COVID-19 testing, baseline screening conducted in the past 2 weeks uncovered more than 36 positive cases. Now, there's a number of people protesting here about whether we should wear a mask, whether we should or shouldn't, you should get vaccinated or not. I'm not here to argue with people, but I do think that because we have so many people on different spectrums of this argument, in some ways, we should do everything we can to protect our kids. And I know that if we're pushing as many of our students back in the classroom, then keep my baby safe. Have people tested. I know going through summer camps, I've seen it. A board member expressed yesterday how we as parents sometimes, we send our kids. I don't know that I've never sent my kids with a fever, but I've seen it. My kids have gotten sick. It just can't trust people. We're all it's a collective responsibility, and it's on you all to put that forward so that we test everyone weekly and make it happen. I implore you again, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariela. After Serena, we have Dana Tannard. Dana. Hi, Serena. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Please address your comments to the board chair and not to any individual member or staff.
Okay, thank you. I come to you guys as a science teacher, and I'm bound to the next generation science standards. Those standards have science and engineering practices, and within them, number 7 states that we're to teach children argumentation through evidence. And so I have been doing nothing but research since this entire thing began, and I've been circumnavigating around all of the chaos, and so I would like to present to you the research. And I urge for you, as our leaders, to go to the health department and in the Los Angeles County and the Long Beach County and demand from them the evidence that tells us that masks stop the virus and that they help with this. And I would also like you to go and do the research, or demand of them the research that they do no harm to children. So now I'm going to present you with the evidence that I have that they do harm. You have all the board members, you have received a PowerPoint from me last night, and it is filled with research articles and tons and tons and tons of links. I encourage you to do that. And so this is what we call critical thinking. So in the education system, I'm going to encourage you to also do some critical thinking. First of all, masks do not work. You have a virus that is extremely small. It is a nanometer, and the cloth between the typical medical masks is a micrometer. And so these are 1/1000th to each other. And so what that means is if I wanted to stop mosquitoes coming in my backyard, I'm putting up a chain link fence. That's what it's equivalent to. So they do not work. They are petri dishes. So more people died in the Spanish flu from wearing masks, from bacterial pneumonia that formed in their lungs from wearing masks. So I will demonstrate to you that this is doing harm to our children. They're breathing in bacteria all day long, and it's causing them to be sick. All right, some of the other things that it causes is a lack of oxygen to the blood. And so I would encourage all the parents watching right now, I would encourage you to get an oxygen monitor. You can get them very cheap, hook them up to your child, and if this mask mandate goes into place, you can monitor their oxygen levels. If it goes below a certain level, it is dangerous for them, and that can be a potential lawsuit. And I would urge you, I do not like lawsuits in the school district. It takes money away from our children, and that's very upsetting to me. Some of the direct effects of lack of oxygen in kids, so this is called hypoxia, and some of the side effects would be headaches, which I know some people have already, I've witnessed people that have had masks on for a while, and if you're getting a headache, that is why. It's a lack of oxygen in your blood. Weakness, immune system.
Thank you, Serena. Your 3 minutes are up.
Okay, let me just real quickly.
You only had 3 minutes, Serena. We heard you. Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you, Serena. We heard you. Your 3 minutes are up. So after Dana, James, we have Amber again. Amber. Hi, Dana. You have 3 minutes. Please address the board chair only, not individual members of our board or staff.
Okay. Good evening.
And
Thank
if you could leave your mask on, that would be great as well.
Oh, they told us outside we can take them off when we speak.
Can we get clarification on that, Dr. Baker?
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. The Long Beach School Safety, they just told me as I walked in that I could take my mask off. Do I have to?
Yes, we're indoors, so everyone has to wear a mask.
Okay.
And you'll keep your time. Chief, if we could just remind folks before they come in that they need to wear their mask indoors. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Dana.
All right. My name is Dana Tanner. My daughter's an 11. Her name's Brooklyn. She's going to be attending Rogers. My son Halston is 8, and he's going to be attending Prisk. He has autism, and sorry, this is bad. He's in the success program at Prisk. And I come to you with a couple questions, and I want you to just nod, don't nod, but I want you to think about these things. Yes or no? Do you want our students and teachers to fail? It's probably a no, right? Do you want these students to feel like they're capable of killing other humans because they're in the same room with them? Do you want these children to survive, or do you want them to thrive? Because I want my daughter and my son to thrive, and I want every other kid to thrive. I don't want them just surviving. Do you want these children, do you think masks help them thrive? Because I think that's the big debate here. My son has special needs. He had an IEP set up. If you're not familiar with special needs, if there's other parents around, you go in with the principal, the teachers, the speech therapist, the occupational therapist, the school counselor, and you collaborate together. And you set a plan for your child based on their well-being, their health, and what they're going to need to be successful and thrive in their school. We collaborated for my son. I collaborated with my daughter for her extra assistance that she needed for her ADHD. Why are we not doing that for these children with the parents on a case-by-case basis for what they need to be successful? Because we do that with everything else in school with them. I just have such a problem with that. And then our kids are not in school to survive. They're here to thrive, and we're here to teach them how to be developed and be successful in the world. From county supervisor meetings, school board meetings across the state, paragraphs of data have been presented with facts that attest to the collateral damage. And the collateral damage is so much greater to these children than just this small 0.006%. And that's my biggest concern here. I can state statistics, we all can. I can state research, we all can. We all have an argument with numbers. These numbers are so small that they would never even been considered in any other threat, in any other circumstance. I could simply continue to send my daughter, who's 11, to school with a diaper because there's a 0.006% chance that she's gonna poop her pants. But I just don't see that happening, and it doesn't, the means don't justify the reasoning for it. And our kids are more likely not to wash their hands correctly and give each other salmonella than this virus. This is not just about getting through a pandemic. It's not just about getting by. It's about creating a foundation of strength for our youth to feel empowered and develop to take on the world and not be afraid of the world. We can't live like that. Our family units need to take responsibility for our families, our health, make sure we take care of our kids, we have good nutrition, we have good facilities, we make decisions that affect the health and livelihood of our children, and we should send them to school ready.
Thank you, Dana. So James, I believe Paul was coming up.
Paul is next. Paul is next.
Is it Paul?
I'm sorry?
Is your name? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Paul's next.
Got it. Thank you, Amber.
Okay.
My fault, Amber. I didn't
Okay.
recognize you with the mask on. So Amber,
I'm back again.
you're back.
I'm back.
You have 3 minutes.
So, good evening, school board members and staff. Again, my name is Amber Vera Mendoza. I am currently a PTA board member and school site council member, an active parent in my school community for 4 years, and a parent of 2 LBUSD District 5 elementary school age daughters, one of which who is at high risk of serious and deadly outcomes from COVID-19. You met my oldest daughter yesterday morning, who came to advocate for her little sister and the thousands of other students under 12 not eligible for vaccines yet. As I just stated, my youngest daughter is at high risk, and we have been doing everything within our power to keep both of my daughters safe for the past 18 months. Unfortunately, I know what it's like having a child hospitalized for pulmonary issues and complications, having to hold my child's arms and body down so a nurse can put an IV in, constantly fighting with them to keep their oxygen tube in, or setting up and sitting with them every night to administer breathing treatments through a nebulizer. I wouldn't wish this on any parent. Because of this, I'm here to advocate and demand a safer LBUSD for all by asking to implement all 5 safety protocols recommended by health experts for safe school opening: masking, vaccination, ventilation, distancing, and testing. I am very thankful and I applaud LBUSD is implementing the masking, the vaccination, ventilation, and the distancing. That said, I ask that in an abundance of caution, you expand masking to outdoors when distancing cannot be maintained, especially for elementary schools where all students remained unvaccinated. I also ask that the more than encouraging staff to distance students, you develop clear and defined distancing protocols during outdoor school day activities, especially lunch when all students will be unmasked. The missing protocol here is weekly testing. LBUSD needs to implement weekly testing for all to protect the thousands of students under age 12 like mine, as well as medically vulnerable students and staff. Finally, district communications, I would really encourage that so much trust could be built and so much worry reduced if more details and new information like the slides from the board workshops with explanations were included in district communication to families. In these 2 weeks before school starts, I implore district leadership and principals to provide as much details as possible to families like mine so we can make the best, most informed decision for their families. Let's keep prioritizing the needs of our most vulnerable and over those who are most advantaged. As parents and guardians of unvaccinated children, our concerns are valid and we deserve answers and action. Please be leaders and help us keep all of LBUSD safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. So James, after Paul, we have Ava and Ethan.
Ava and Ethan. Is that 2 people or just Ava?
It's Ava and Ethan together.
Oh. Ava and Ethan will be after Paul. Ava and Ethan together.
Hi, Paul. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Please address the board chair, not any individual member of our board or staff.
Okay. On Monday, August 9th, the district sent employees a email from Jill stating that all staff will be required to provide proof of vaccination or have weekly COVID testing. Whether an employee is vaccinated is a private decision and is personal health information protected by HIPAA law. Providing that information to Long Beach Unified would not be appropriate. For one thing, Long Beach Unified is not obligated to follow HIPAA regulations, so that information will no longer be protected.
Paul, can I just ask you to lift up your mask to cover your nose, please?
Is this just for me?
It's for everyone. We've asked everyone to keep their masks on. Thank you.
So all COVID vaccinations in the United States are only available through emergency use authorization. As such, they are defined as experimental. International and federal law requires all experimental medical procedures to be performed with informed consent and right to refuse. There are many reasons people may refuse the COVID vaccines, not the least of which is they are all produced or tested using aborted fetal cell lines. Section 564 of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act prohibits consequences for refusing an experimental procedure beyond those authorized by the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The COVID vaccines were issued emergency use authorization without any consequences allowed. Employees whose vaccination status is unknown are being considered unvaccinated. Requiring unvaccinated employees to undergo testing is a consequence and is prohibited by Section 564. Besides, the PCR tests are also approved under emergency use authorization and require consent and can be refused. The excuse that the EEOC allows employees to issue vaccine mandates is incorrect. What they stated is that they do not enforce emergency use authorization laws and have no jurisdiction over that section of law. The vaccine and testing requirements must be dropped. And I don't understand this public meeting where the public's not allowed. And I also don't understand why you refuse to follow the health orders of Long Beach, which allow exemptions for masks. You guys are willfully violating the law for public meetings as well as this mask mandate today, right now. No response.
Thank you, Paul. Your 3 minutes are up. Board, I say we take a 5-minute recess at this point, and we'll return shortly. Okay, everyone, we're back. We are on public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. And our next speakers, James, are Eva and Ethan. And then after that, I believe it's Julian? Jillian or Julian? Hi, are you Eva and Ethan?
Yes.
So you have 3 minutes between the both of you to address our board.
Hi, my name is Ethan, and I would like to introduce myself. I am 7. I'm going to start. We would like to ask the board to consider mass choice for all staff and students.
We love our school, Patrick Henry, and all our friends and teachers, and can't wait to go back. What we don't want is to have to wear masks all day in a classroom with no air conditioning, where temperatures in the fall can be in the high 90s.
It's okay, we're listening. Take your time, we're listening to you.
Not being able to see my friends' smiles at school has made me sad. It's also very hard to hear my teachers sometimes, and it's super important because we are in a dual immersion school and learning a second language. My best friend, our neighbors who are also here, and several of our other friends have all left LBUSD because of the mask mandates and school shutdowns. Please don't make us have to leave too. Again, please consider allowing all staff and students to have mask choice. It's the right thing to do. Thank you.
I also just want to quickly address one of the speakers who previously said something. She made a comment that the majority of the people outside are white, and that is absolutely inaccurate, and I just don't want the false narrative to be painted here. I'm a first-generation Cuban American. My children are Cuban and Costa Rican. We have Mexican friends, African American friends, and people of all races, cultures, and backgrounds outside. This is not a racial thing. It's about doing what's right and allowing our children to have mass choice. Thank you.
Thank you. So James, after this speaker, we have Jared. Jared with a J.
Jared, thank you.
So is it Julian or Jillian?
Jillian.
Jillian, thank you. You have
Jillian.
3 minutes to address our board. Please address your comments to the board chair and not to individual members of the board or staff.
The school board is supposed to represent the parents and the families. There is a large number of families that are not being represented nor heard. Mask wearing should be optional. Parents are not interested in co-parenting with the school board or with the CDC. If we listen to science, why are you not listening to Fauci's early emails that stated masks are nothing more than peace of mind? For people who are worried about COVID, they should stay home or wear 2 masks for the rest of their lives. Let the rest of us get on and live ours. We don't want to use faulty PCR testing that we know if we have a cold, will come back positive for COVID. We must stop you with masks because we know what your next step will be, testing and vaccines, and that violates the Nuremberg Code. You will be breaking the law. If you take your job seriously, then you should really consider all areas that these children could be harmed. I'm torn between keeping them home and homeschooling them or sending them to school where my 5-year-old is going to attend kindergarten for the first time, and he's not going to even know what his classmates or his teachers look like underneath a mask. We know these masks don't work. We know that the tests that say we're sick don't work. Do you care only about the physical appearance, or do you care about their mental health?
What is this going to do to generations down the line? You don't know. Those tests aren't being done. And for the people who are scared and paranoid or whatever, they should stay home. They should mask up. They should get the vaccine if they want it. They should test weekly if they want it. But leave me and my family alone. This is still a free country. And that's why we're here fighting, because we want to keep it that way. If you don't hear our concerns and listen to our request, you're going to be out of jobs, because we're hundreds of us just right here are willing to pull our kids out. You're going to lose over $50,000 for my 3 sons that are currently enrolled in Long Beach Unified. And if you make masks or vaccines mandatory, we're out. You're not going to get funding. And I'm not the only parent. You can hear them all. We are united. We are united. So reconsider what your job really actually is and think about who you're selling out to. You just want to be popular? You just want to go with this new agenda that's recently come about? Or do you want to really
Thank you,
protect the
Jillian.
kids?
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you. James, after Jared, we have Linda Che. Linda Che. So, Jared, you have 3 minutes. Please address the board chair and not any individual member of our board or staff.
My name is Jared Berrigan. I have 3 children attending Long Beach Unified Schools, and I am here to talk about the abusive, unscientific, and despicable mask mandates that you have put on our kids. I am not here to call COVID a hoax and deny that it's real. COVID is real, has caused injury to many, and severe injury and death to a portion of our population that was tragically vulnerable to it. But our kids are not among those vulnerable. The data is everywhere if you choose to find it, that COVID is no more dangerous to the young than the regular seasonal flu, and maybe even less dangerous. If kids spreading the virus is what you're worried about, I got some tough news for you. Masks don't work. The mask that I'm wearing does not do anything. There is no science to back up that masks work. It's interesting that after having lived with COVID for going on 18 months now, no significant studies on children with masks and their efficacy has been financed and studied. You'd think that might be kind of important if public health was your primary concern. You don't know what you don't look for, and no one cares to look. You would think people like yourselves would question that and demand real evidence of it working before you demand our kids put on something that makes them breathe back their own carbon dioxide. COVID is a virus that is broken down into very fine particles that go right through masks like a mosquito would go through a chain link fence. It does nothing. The science community used to know this, which is probably why in February of 2020, everyone's favorite doctor, Anthony Fauci, told a friend of his through email that she didn't need a mask when she was traveling. Or again, in March, to 60 Minutes, that masks only make people feel better. It's not really providing protection. Is that what this is all about? Making people like you feel better? Aren't you supposed to be looking out for the well-being of our children, not for yourselves? Not projecting your irrational fears on them and teaching them that everyone they come into contact with is a potential killer? If potential harm to teachers is the issue, aren't vaccines now widely available? If the vaccines work so well and turn a potential serious case of COVID into a case of the sniffles for a day or two, then my kids don't need to wear masks. Period. Full stop. Any potential vulnerable teacher or staff can get vaccinated and be safe. By the way, a study of 90,000 children in classroom settings in North Carolina was conducted, and not a single case of student-to-teacher transmission was identified. Not one. Mask not working is also plainly available to see if you choose to look at the data of rates of transmission between states that had mask mandates and those that didn't. States with mask
Thank you,
mandates
Jared.
have no
Your
lower
3
rates of
minutes are up.
transmission than those with none.
Thank you, Jared. Your 3 minutes are up. So after Linda, we have Christina Lee. Christina.
Sorry.
Christina's next, yes. Are you Linda?
Lindy.
Lindy, sorry, Lindy. Lindy, you have 3 minutes to address
Thank you.
us. Please address the board chair and not any individual member of our board or staff.
Thank you. The item that I'm talking about is not on the agenda for August 18th. Good evening, all board members. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Lindy Chia. I am a product of the Long Beach Unified School District. I am also a resident in Long Beach, and I also work in Long Beach. I'm here today because I'd like to ask you a question, and that is, how is the LCAP funding being allocated? I want to ask this question because I'm requesting that you please consider allocating a portion of this funding to the Khmer Dual Language Program. And the reason is because time is ticking, and we can't wait to delay a plan of action. Because a lot of students in the Cambodian community suffered different types of traumas, not only with their current situation, but from the previous generation, where they came from the Cambodian genocide. And I feel that as we delay, we're robbing our youth of their opportunity to learn about their culture, their language, and their traditions. So we all know that it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm sorry I'm breaking up because I'm so devastated to see that as of right now, they're still struggling. And I see that during this hard time, there's so many anti-hate crimes committed toward the Asian American community. Have we not suffered long enough with the generations before us? And why are we still having to continue to receive this type of treatment? So I stand here before you today because I want to express to you that I believe in the Long Beach Unified School District. I believe that you will allow us to be able to have this program. Why? So that you can ensure that the students not forget where they came from, and for other non-Khmer participants and students to get an opportunity to learn about the culture. Furthermore, I'd like to say I am a proud graduate of Rogers Middle School. I'm able to read, write, and speak in Spanish, and that's thanks to the program that the LBUSD has provided. And today, I'm able to serve the community, not only the Cambodian community in Long Beach, but also the Latino community, and be able to speak in their native language. Now that is the product of what you have given me. And so please, I ask you and I urge you to consider allocating a part of your funding for the Khmer language, the Khmer Dual Language Immersion Program. If not a full program, at least some type of after-school support so that we can build upon this program. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great evening, and thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Lindy. So James, after Christina, we have our last speaker, Julie Martinez. Julie. Hi, Christina. You have 3 minutes to address our board. Please address your comments to the board chair and not to any individual on the board or on staff.
Okay. Buenos dias. To President Dr. Juan Benitez, board members, Superintendent Dr. Jill Baker, and executive staff. My name is Christina Lee, and I am a product of the LBUSD. I am also a LBUSD parent of 4 children. My oldest graduated from Millikan High and is currently going to be a second year at UCSD. And he also is a lifeguard at one of our beaches here. I have a family practice in Long Beach, and I am also a pastor at the Long Beach Cambodian United Methodist Church here. Khmer Dual Language is very extremely important for children and for the community because I can share with you at my family practice, I have had difficulty hiring a competent Khmer nurse who can speak confidently and to serve our Khmer patients, especially the seniors with limited English. By having a fluent and competent Khmer speaker, it will allow doctor's office to effectively communicate with patients about symptoms and to provide us physicians with proper diagnosis and proper care plan as well. Without having fluent Khmer speaker as staff, miscommunication can put patients' health at risk. Therefore, it is very important for the medical professionals to have accurate information about patient and our line of work. The fluency of the Khmer language program can prepare students in their role in the medical field, allowing them to serve the Khmer community both within the Long Beach, nationwide, and also outside the country. And for that matter, any important fields that involve interaction with people. Therefore, it is very important that the LBUSD allocate the necessary funds for the implementation of the Khmer heritage language for this academic year, and for Long Beach, the Khmer language program that can be taught 2 times a week in the school district as part of the curriculum, while the team is working on developing the process and the curriculum to implement the Khmer dual language immersion program before the budget gets exhausted. My children are too old now to be in the Khmer dual language immersion or to benefit from it. However, it will benefit other young children when the program is implemented. I am asking that the LBUSD work together with the community for the implementation of the Khmer dual language immersion program to invest in the future of our young Khmer children. We need Khmer proficient employees in the health field as well as the industry. Thank you for your attention and time. Someone has said that together, ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. I'm very blessed to be in front of you, and I know that the Khmer dual language program can be birthed because I am in front of extraordinary people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, Julie. You have 3 minutes to address our board.
Okay.
Please address your comments to the board chair and not to any individual member or staff.
Okay. Hi, my name is Julie Martinez, and I live in Lakewood. My sons go to Milliken and Bancroft. I'm here to discuss why you continue this charade of masking our kids when you know that masks do not work. There have been plenty of studies to show they do not work, and I have sent you all the emails showing all of you these studies, which I have received no response from you or any, including the superintendent. Our children are being hospitalized more for bacterial and or respiratory viruses like pneumonia and RSP over COVID. That's because they are breathing in their filth and spit and snot all day long with no breaks. During this pandemic, over 80 million children nationwide, that's how many children, only 335 died from COVID, and most of them had 2 or 3 comorbidities like leukemia. We all need to quit counting cases because we know the PCR test has been proven invalid and cannot distinguish between influenza or COVID. What happened to pediatric influenza, which killed more kids than COVID? More kids have died by suicide and drug overdose in this pandemic. Just alone in Clark County, Nevada, 11 high schoolers killed themselves. My own son has lost friends to suicide and drug overdose. Because the call centers nationwide have been inundated with calls through the roof from kids desperately wanting to connect with someone because you guys have robbed them of it. For what? A virus that has become so political now. For what? Because they don't want to get an experiment on poison and die? The adverse reactions and deaths are through the roof right now, and you can find this on the VAERS website, which is extremely backlogged. Last count was 11,000 plus have died from this vaccine that you want to pump our kids with. Kids are dying from heart attacks and myocarditis from these experimental unconstitutional methods, which are nothing more than control. What is your purpose and your point for this? It's obviously not about the safety, emotional, mental, and social well-being of these children when you're totally violating their constitutional God-given rights, also violating the Nuremberg Code, which states the foundation of ethical medicine that no one should be coerced to participate in a medical experiment, that individuals' consent is absolutely essential. I am sure all of you have heard about that code. It was put in place after all the soldiers and all those people put all those experiments on kids back during the Holocaust. I won't need to go into that. But you still continue to use our kids as experimental pawns. What do you gain by continuing this false narrative that kids are spreading and contracting this virus? Do you get kickbacks from the government or pharmaceutical companies? All of these things, vaccines, masks, and even the PCR tests are all under EUA and are not mandatory under the Constitution. I mean, we all know that. One of the biggest donors to the American Pediatric Association is Pfizer. Did you also know that Pfizer is the maker of the cure for the 2 most common side effects of these vaccines, myocarditis and blood clots? How funny, let's follow the money. I said, you need to end these mandates now and these forced vaccinations because the blood of our kids are on their hands. I hope you can sleep at night and may God have mercy on your soul. I'm done.
Thank you, Julie. So that concludes our public testimony. Oh, okay. Okay. Is it Jacqueline?
Yes, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, you have 3 minutes to address us. Please address only the board chair, not any individual member of our board or staff.
Thank you. So my name's Jacqueline. I live in Long Beach and I pay taxes to this city. I graduated from Long Beach Unified. I attended all 12 years. I taught student teaching in the district, and until March of 2020, I was a substitute for your district. I really don't have a desire to work for you anymore. I have 5 younger siblings, all of whom have attended Long Beach Unified, and my youngest 3 brothers still attend. Over the last year and a half, I've watched one of my brothers struggle from anxiety and slip into a place of depression that nobody should be. His spirit has been crushed, and he's turned into a person that I don't even recognize at times. He doesn't see his friends. He doesn't go out. My other brother, last year, went through open heart surgery number 4 and 5. All he wants is to go to school. He cannot breathe while he wears a mask. He has a leaky valve. We don't know what his life holds. We don't know how much time he has left on earth. He wants to go to school. He cannot breathe when he has to be muzzled. Muzzling children is child abuse. It adds another distraction. It affects their health and their breathing. And what about children learning English? How are they supposed to see facial expressions when their teachers are covered up? Enforcing this hides smiles and crushes spirits. According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of freedom is the quality or state of being free, such as the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action. The last time I checked, I still live in the United States of America, but I don't see freedom. I'm not anti-anything, I'm pro-freedom. And that's what myself and all these parents are here asking today, is for the freedom to choose what they know is best for their children. Teachers are here because they are sick of having to hide their smiles from their students. It is not fair, it's child abuse, and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Okay, now that concludes our public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. I want to thank our community members that came today to provide public testimony. A part of our democracy requires participation, and our school board meetings are a part of that. So thank you. We are listening, and we will move on to staff report. We don't have a staff report today, but I do want to share that our superintendent will provide some specific updates tonight after our board member report on latest information regarding our school year opening and any health protocol updates related to that. So please stay tuned, and we'll have more information from Dr. Baker before we close our meeting tonight. We'll move on to business items. So, certificated personnel. Can we get a motion?
Well, actually, before we have the motion, I'm going to read the report in Mr. Miller's absence. So, I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the superintendent. For certificated personnel, appointments, 243. In-service changes, 31. Leaves of absence, 8. Resignations, 11. Retirements, 10. And amendments, 6. I move approval.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, let's take a roll call vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that's a passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Classified personnel.
Yes. I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the superintendent. Classified and exempt personnel. Appointments, 535. Leaves of absence, 5. Termination, 1. Resignations, 25. Retirements, 4. Amendments, 3. I move approval.
Second.
Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Instruction report.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that also passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Finance report, A.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that also passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Finance report B.
Move approval.
We need a second, colleagues. Discussion?
Yes, Dr. Benitez, I recuse myself from participation in Finance Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the payees.
Thank you. How do you vote, Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 3 with 1 abstention and 1 absent. Business Department report.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. I just want to highlight a couple of generous donations. There was a donation of just under $25,000 from the Longfellow PTA for the music program, and another donation from the Newcomb Academy Foundation for $40,000 for a computer lab and science program. So thank you to those 2 organizations for those very generous donations.
Indeed. Thank you, Ms. Craighead. Any further discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote? Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That passes 4-0 with 1 absence. Purchasing and contracts report A.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That passes 4-0 with 1 absence. Purchasing and contracts report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Dr. Benitez, I recuse myself from participation in Purchasing and Contract Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the awardees.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Any further discussion? Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 3 with 1 abstention and 1 absence. Other items, superintendent items. We have some administrative assignments.
Thank you. I'm pleased to make the following recommendations for administrative assignments. At the middle and K-8 schools level, first recommendation, Cassandra Richards, serving as Measure E Assistant Principal at Coverly to the Assistant Principal at Marshall. Augustine Vieira from Assistant Principal at Marshall to Assistant Principal at Washington. At the high school level, filling a vacancy at McBride, Jacqueline Gaynor, who's currently a teacher on special assignment at Washington, to Assistant Principal at McBride. Non-level assignments include Michael McBride, a new hire, to Assistant Director in the Office of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Development. Also a new hire in Darcy Coppola to Administrative Assistant, Student Support Services. Promoting from teacher on special assignment at Millikan, Stephanie Heilig, who will go to Administrative Assistant, School Choice Administrator in the Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships Office. Christy Freund McFagan, from a teacher on special assignment in the Office of Curriculum to Program Specialist, Environmental Sustainability in the Office of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Development. And George Tsai, from Administrative Assistant in the Middle and K-8 Schools Office to Assistant Director, Federal and State Programs in the Business Services Office. And lastly, Dave Costa, moving from Assistant Principal at Washington to Administrative Assistant in the Middle and K-8 Schools Office.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Dr. Baker because I'm really excited about this position. Program Specialist, Environmental Sustainability. If you could talk a little bit about it, and then I'll make a comment.
Sure, thank you for asking. So we have undertaken a number of initiatives around green schools over the last almost decade, actually, schools that have been recognized with the Green Ribbon Award. And we have had a number of teacher leaders that have led efforts that have impacted across the district, actually, issues of sustainability and environmental awareness. And so with their work in mind, we want to build a further foundation of that across the district that will also incorporate our student leadership groups who have been working on sustainability in the school district as well as in the city. And so Christy will bring together both students and adults in the curriculum office, think about how to design curriculum and other materials for our classrooms, and also coordinate things like the Green Summit that has been done after hours by a team of very dedicated teachers. Now they'll have someone to support and to lead that effort with them.
I want to thank you for this new position. I think I was fortunate to be engaged at Longfellow and Hughes, 10, 12 years ago with some of the early pioneers in getting us to go green. And I know that their work spanned everything from tree planting to recycling to litter, but also working with the district on energy savings, facilities, and looking at that big picture. So that we have someone who can now coordinate the effort of the really talented people we have working in this district, both at the teacher level, at the volunteer level, and students and staff within the business department and facilities, is really exciting to me, and I think is a great statement to the work that we've been asked to do, that we know we're tasked to do with current legislation as well as upcoming legislation. And I look forward to it. And I really appreciate that it's housed in our curriculum office and not necessarily in our business services or our facilities office, because we know the climate crisis is real and urgent. And by utilizing a curriculum base for that work helps us do the technical work better, but also helps us raise this generation of environmental leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Any further discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with 1 absence. Thank you, Dr. Baker. Unfinished business, we have none. New business. So let's start with our board policy, excellence and equity. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez, for the opportunity. I am very proud to lift up the work of the equity leadership team. You heard a powerful presentation from them yesterday. Just to recap, back in November, we sought application for the equity leadership team. We very quickly received 250 applications. We selected 30 participants, 10 staff members, 10 parents, and 5 community members. And we have worked together over the space of 8 months in creation of the policy that comes before you this evening. I want to highlight from the presentation yesterday, the members who presented left us with some recommendations or things to think about. So as you consider this policy this evening, I'd like to just recap some of those recommendations in the spirit of using the experience of our group, both the lived experience, the professional experience, the personal experience, and the experience that they bring to us with their own children to guide what our practices become. So one of the key things that they asked for was listening sessions with community members, an opportunity for more community engagement, specifically for input on the policy, but also to gather more information and more experience about the equity journey that many of our community members have been on and will continue to be on. Next, they asked that we continue to center Black students and students with disabilities in our work. And a couple of key things to mention there is that we use the data that we have, both now and historically, to inform the work that we do. That we commit to supporting our most vulnerable students, as evidenced by the data that we have, and that when we do that, everyone grows. When we specifically focus on the needs of our Black students and our students with disabilities, it helps students everywhere. And that was something that was really a part of the presentation yesterday. Additionally, they asked for some action planning around work that we are going to do. You heard Tracy Colunga specifically say, give us a 2-year action plan and lay out the way you're going to do the work you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how will you measure it. Lastly, they asked for study sessions on the excellence and equity initiatives, which will be refreshed through Dr. Baker's goals. And there's a real link between what the committee is asking for, the goals that Dr. Baker is moving forward with as our superintendent, and the multitude of initiatives that we have around the equity work that we're doing. So the committee speaks for themselves. They spoke very proudly and very boldly yesterday. I am purely here in this seat to bring the recommendations that they left us with yesterday and respectfully ask for your consideration and discussion around the policy.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, and they gave a very powerful presentation at our board workshop. So I'd like to open it up for thoughts, comments from our board here. We were all present for that powerful presentation.
Okay. I'll start us out. I agree, Dr. Brown. It was such a dynamic presentation. You can tell how much they're invested. You can tell how meaningful this process was for them, and just the opportunity to be able to express themselves. I know that one of the things they wanted from us was that we are listening, that we are hearing their voices, and that we acknowledge that as a district, we haven't always done things that uplift all voices, that we need to have Black students and our special education students centered at this time. And so we are listening to that, we're acknowledging that. They also asked for accountability. They asked for accessibility, and they asked that we make this policy more of a living document, that we can change it, that it can evolve and grow with our students. And let's see, also, and about the communication part, and I don't think I made a note of who said it, but one of our participants said that equity starts with communication. And I believe that process has begun because they are speaking and we are listening. And so that's communication. We will continue to do that. And then also, and this was a quote I was reminded of, but I'm going to go ahead and use it anyhow, that parents are centers for ideas and not centers of complaint. So it's how we look at parents, how we engage with parents. What do we think of them? What do we, what value do we put on their voice? And I believe that with this policy, we are demonstrating how much we value the voices of the parents. So I'm very happy to be a part of this board at this time that we're moving in this direction.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Brown. I want to thank again the members of the ELT, some of whom were here tonight again, for taking the time and their dedication and commitment to really hard, intentional, emotional work during a really hard, traumatic time in our collective history, and a time when relationship and needing to be together to do this work was made extraordinarily difficult, and it happened over Zoom. So I'm really grateful for the investment of their time and their hearts and their minds in an incredibly important work for us here in the district. Some of the things I heard them say, I heard them say a ton, but the takeaways for what do they want to hear, what do they expect of us as board members, and I heard them say that they want feedback. They want us to hear their feedback. The centering of Black children and students with disabilities. They want our policy to have teeth and mean something, with an accountability piece as well. They want us to prepare our kids to be global citizens. They want us to make ourselves available to listen more, especially with our youth. and to really look at the culture of our own system and how we are with each other within the system, and making sure that that's a healthy space for those who work here as well as our students in the district. And I would like to take their recommendation. I heard very clearly that they want this to be a robust conversation. They want this to be taken outside of this board to our community, to listen to more people and get more voices as we consider this really important policy. And I'd like to recommend that we expand our listening to those robust community outreach sessions and plan those for the future so that we can continue this process and be in dialogue with our greater community.
Mr. Otto?
Yeah, I was also very, very moved by the presentation yesterday by the Equity Task Force. Like Megan said, in an unbelievably difficult time, they came together in almost incomprehensible ways to find their voices, to come together and think clearly and carefully about their experiences, the experiences of their friends, their families, their children, and to help develop this policy. And I got this late last week. I looked at it and I thought, I think the word I used yesterday was very authentic work. This is work that came from the souls of each of the individuals that were participated in the task force and those that participated and shared yesterday at the meeting. And I too would like to see those conversations extended so that we can get more community input into this policy, and I think we should have a robust, quick schedule for the doing of that. I think that we can work that out and bring this out to the community more so that we can get responses to it, and that's what my suggestion is.
Thank you, Mr. Otto, and I agree with what my colleagues have shared here. I too want to thank the presenters, but the entire ELT team for their honesty, for their courage, for holding us accountable as a board and as a district to those values that we say we want to uphold in everything that we do. You know, as we've shared, as they shared, equity is not something that we do, right? Equity is something that we are. Dr. Lund, I'm appreciative of how you describe restorative justice, right? Restorative justice is not something you do. There's best practices involved. There's the evidence that it works from those best practices, but it's something that we are. It's a state of being. So their honesty and their testimonies, their personal testimonies and experiences and what they shared, I think upholds the best in what our district wants to do, should do, and at the same time, an acknowledgement that our district can and should be better, right? And we are better by engaging in these processes and in these spaces. So one of the things that I shared after the presentation is a good policy is only as good as our ability to implement it and achieve the impact, outcomes, and intent of that policy. So this is an opportunity for our district to be bold. This is an opportunity for our district to uphold those values, but it's also important for us to get it right. And I agree with what my colleagues have shared. In order for us to listen and get it right, we have to continue that process. And in order for us to make sure that we implement this important policy correctly, I'd also like to ask staff to begin mapping out what would this look like in terms of measures of success, in terms of achieving the intent, the impact, and the outcomes that this policy is meant to uphold, right? One of the other things that was shared at the presentation is that Dr. Brown put together a pretty comprehensive list of examples of equity work that our district has already been doing, is currently doing, and of course that more needs to be done, but that there are some anchors there for this work. So I'd also like to get a sense of where this aligns with our current equity work, where there are gaps, where there are deficiencies and opportunities for us to really utilize this policy, not just as an anchor, which is very, very important, but also helps to inform all of the other presentations and work that was shared in the last day and a half of our workshops. We heard from the level offices about all the learnings that have taken place from this last spring and from over the summer, and the alignment with what this policy can and should do, I think is important. So I'd really like to see a clear map, whether that's a 2-year plan as was expressed, or whether it's quarterly updates that really demonstrate that we are measuring success, not just around the policy itself, but around all of our equity work. Dr. Baker, you shared goals with us. Mr. Brown, you shared some potential new metrics that we would use around student outcomes, student learning, right? So I think it's important for us to be deliberate and get it right. So I would agree with my colleagues that let's do the listening sessions. Let's think about how we implement this policy, because otherwise it just becomes words on paper that we can pat ourselves on the back for. But at the end of the day, it's those community members that presented, among many others, that will come back to us and say, hey, what happened with this policy that we talked a big game about, but that have not achieved the desired outcomes and results. So if my colleagues support that, I would ask our executive staff, Dr. Baker, to make sure that we get this policy right, that we do some listening sessions, that we do some of the things that my colleagues have described, and show that we are listening to our community members, and get this policy right when it comes before us so we can take action on it.
I would make a suggestion that we do refer it to executive staff, and they come back at our last meeting, maybe it's one meeting in September, with some ideas, not necessarily a comprehensive plan, but some directions. I plan to spend a good amount of time between now and that meeting, if that's what we do, going over this, vetting it in the community in my district or my area. And I've been involved with the establishment and implementation of lots and lots of policies in my life, and I've seen lots and lots of policies not succeed. And I think this policy is so important that it's important that we get it right. And that means we have to stay on it. I think we all need to make a commitment to taking this very, very seriously, and it's not easy. I mean, I'm looking at Chris Brown right now and thinking, okay, what are the metrics? You know, they may not be obvious. One of my favorite books about metrics was a book called Non-Reactive Research in the Behavioral Sciences, and that's where they tried to figure out what the most, among things, what the most popular exhibit was at the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry, and they said, gee, I don't know, is it, you know, what, and well, what they did was they said, well, how often do we have to replace the tiles in front of all the exhibits? And they found that the chick hatching exhibit was the most popular because everybody liked to see that. Well, I think for equity, there's going to be some unobtrusive ways of looking at it too that we may be able to come up with, as well as some other ways that have historically been there. And I think it's important that we think broadly about what the best ways are to define and implement this policy.
Any other thoughts, colleagues?
Ms. Kerr, did you want to go next? I think you were waiting, or? No? Oh, okay. Well, I like the idea of opening it up more to the community because in the beginning, when we were entertaining applications for this committee, equity leadership team, didn't we have over 400 people apply or something to that effect? Well, a lot of people. So, so we know there's interest from the community in sharing their voices. So I think it would be a wonderful idea if we have more people engaged and informing, what they would like to, or us, and what they would like to see. And then also, I'm remembering another recommendation from the team that all of our equity-related programs and et cetera, have a centrally located place to live, so that there is a staff member dedicated to, I guess, just monitoring or collecting everything we do as far as equity is concerned, so that it's in one central place, so that our efforts can be more combined and collaborative. And I think that's one of the things I heard also as a recommendation from that team. So I think it's a great idea that we open it up and engage more with the community at large, in addition to the voices and people that we heard that served on that team for the last year plus.
Ms. Craighead, thank you. And I want to be clear that what I'm not hearing from my colleagues is that these listening sessions would be intended to fundamentally change or undo the work that has already been put in by this ELT team, but it would be to fine tune, right, and expand on that work. And again, the work is still centering Black students, students with disabilities, right? So I want to be clear that the intent of these listening sessions is not to take us in another direction or to undo the work and the heavy lifting that's already been done, with that value at the center.
Yeah, and thank you for making that distinction. I think that's a very important distinction to be made, that we don't want to undo that work, that we're just adding to that work.
Dr. Baker.
I just say thank you for your thoughtfulness. This has been just tremendous effort led by Dr. Brown and others who have been a part of the strategic group working with the ELT. And so we will continue to keep it on the agenda as information and action, so that as Dr. Brown takes the recommendations and works with the ELT and works with staff, that it is there when you are ready. I also would like to say that the work continues while the policy is being revised. So there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of days about equity and equity-oriented initiatives in all different areas of our work. And so the work continues while the policy is being looked at and while our community is being engaged in more conversation around the policy.
Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Brown?
No, thank you very much.
Perfect. So we expect to hear back an update on that conversation at our next board meeting in September. Thank you, colleagues. Board Policy 6158, Independent Study.
So this policy recommendation reflects the new ed code and legislation. So you can see actually what's included in the board packet is the document showing what is no longer part of the policy and all of the updates. This guides the district's current independent study program that we have been sharing with the public, different than distance learning. So just to be clear, independent study is not distance learning. It is a separate program, as has been described, that it highly involves a parent or guardian or caregiver in the home who is helping to guide the student through an independent study program. District curriculum, district teaching staff, but a different program than what our families have experienced in distance learning, because we are no longer authorized to provide a distance learning program at this time. Well, we will continue to advocate and work with the state around what that could look like during the year, but right now, independent study is the option that is available to us as a district as we open school for students who do not come for in-person instruction.
I move approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Baker. No, we had a big presentation on this yesterday. So first question, that big slide presentation, is it currently available online? If it is not, is there an opportunity to put that online so folks can access that? We know there were additional slides in that were not included in the webinar that some folks might want to reference.
Sure. There are materials available.
Okay.
The webinar recording is available. Resources that have been translated are already available, and we will post as soon as we can translate into the 3 languages. We'll post the additional information that was included in the slides yesterday.
Okay. And I want to thank you for clarifying that this is new policy and guidelines. So this is an overhaul of independent study from the state level. This isn't a Long Beach Unified District decision. And I know some folks were concerned that we had a whole year to plan this, and the reality is we didn't. This is new legislation as of the very beginning of August, I believe, July, because the previous distance learning, hybrid learning sunsetted, and that bill is no longer relevant. So just for that clarification piece. So we know families are anxious about what this looks like for their individual student, and as we continue to talk about return, first day of school and return to classrooms, and updated health protocols and all that may happen in the next 2 weeks, best place for folks to get information will be?
So as we shared yesterday, the best place for families to get information is at the school level. School office is open Friday, and the reason for that is that making a decision about independent study is required to involve a school staff member who meets with parents to talk about what independent study is and what it is not, and who can actually ensure that the student can be successful in independent study before signing off on that decision with the parent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Additional discussion?
Sure. Yeah, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people in the community about the concerns about independent study, and it's come down to, I think, about 4 different groups of people that have concerns. There are what we call the IEP, or the 504 ones that have special programs and plans, and what's going to happen to them if can they even have this kind of independent study, and what does that mean, and what's the process that would have to be gone through. There are those that are high-performing students, and they don't know what this means for them, and there's a lot of questions that have arisen. There are parents out there and students out there that are worried about safety and being afraid, and so therefore they may want to involve themselves in some kind of independent study program. That's mostly at the elementary school level is where I'm getting most of those comments. And then there are those that are disconnected, and we're looking for ways for them to remain connected, to get better connected. In the face of AB 130, which is the legislation that was passed, I think it's important for us to make any statements that we can now. The paramount statement that I've heard in my area is that they think they're not going to be able to come back to their schools. If they decide to do independent study, that they are not going to be able to return to their schools. And I can understand why people would think that, because it's just not clear what's going to happen. If a whole bunch of people leave a school and you have to switch faculty around from place to place, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And during the investigations that I've done, I've determined that I think if something like that happened, it would be very rare, but don't take my word for it, because I think what Dr. Baker said is exactly right. Talk to your school site, talk about what's going on, and work with us, work with the district, because it's so important for us to understand what the implications of this are, and for people to make good choices about what their future is. And I think that's what needs to happen.
So I do want to confirm, while we're on that topic, that part of what we shared yesterday with the public was that was an adjusted situation from when the information first went out about independent study. There are some rare circumstances where a family may not be able to return to their school, but it would be rare. We expect that students whose families want to enroll in independent study will be able to go back to the school where they were attending. I also shared yesterday that a student in a unified school district cannot be enrolled in two schools. To attend an independent study school, they actually have to be disenrolled from the school that they're attending, be enrolled in the school that the independent study school, and then Mr. Moskovich shared specifically about some of the protocols that will be used to have students come back to their school that they were attending. If not 100%, we think that almost every student would be able to return to the school that they had been attending.
Good. I'm sure that will be comforting to people that have that particular concern. Look, as we started this conversation, these are extraordinarily unusual times. There's a lot of fear about what the future is going to look like, and I just hope that people who are involved with this district will give us the good faith that you have for so many years, that we'll work with you, that we're interested in the best education for all of our students, every single one of our students. And the best organizing principle is to go to your school and talk to the people at your school, the principal and others there, to see, so you can best evaluate the opportunities that are out there going forward.
Ms. Craighead?
Well, for me, the clarification of your student can only be enrolled in one school at a time really resonated, because when we think of independent study, we may think that that is a program provided to students at each school, but that's not the way it's set up, that the independent study is not a program, it is a separate school. And so you cannot have one student enrolled in two different places at the same time. So for me, that made it clear of you have to consider independent study a school and not a program. And so, as you were saying, we're going to make every effort possible if somebody changes their mind or if they decide to return to their original school or home school, that every effort would be made to re-enroll them. But we do have to think of it as two different schools.
Thank you, Ms. Craighead. And also to lift up part of our conversation during the board workshops is that some families with students under 12 are waiting for the vaccine to be available, right? So understanding that there's a quick turnaround, that we're less than 2 weeks away from the start of a school year, understanding also that there's still a lot of questions that parents have that we just weren't able to address in the webinar. We weren't able to address, how many were we up to? 2,800 questions, I think Mr. Samuels said. We also tasked the newest member of our team, Mr. Grayson, to really help us with the communication piece, particularly for those families, Mr. Otto, that have not been as engaged, that have been disconnected through no fault of their own, that there are important decisions that they need to make, and the more clear and accessible information that we have about independent study, in addition to about many of the things that I think would be important for our community members to have full information about, such as some of the updates that the superintendent will provide tonight. You know, I'm guessing, what do we got tonight, Mr. Itzen? 150 watching, 130, 260. Oh, pretty good. But again, you know, if we could provide some highlights from, you know, key highlights, key updates in a way that, again, are effective, efficient, and accessible to our communities, would go a long way, given some of the things that my colleagues here have shared. So with that in mind, any further discussion?
You know, I kind of have a concern, I guess, because it was raised earlier by one of our speakers, has to do with parents who may not be aware of the option of independent study. And so I think the challenge for us is to figure out a way of making that information more widely available. And I know this is,
So our default is that students are coming to school on August 31st. And when schools open on Friday, they will be preparing for all students to return to in-person instruction on August 31st. If a student doesn't come on August 31st, then our schools are going to be reaching out and making sure that they understand why, and talking with the family about the options that are available if a family determines that they cannot send their student for in-person instruction. So I can assure you that once our schools get open and are going through the process of communicating with families and sending information, they are going to know if a family needs to be contacted personally for a contact about how they want their student to attend school. But we're expecting and planning for almost all students to return for in-person instruction on August 31st.
and that's good to know. Thank you for that.
Yeah, Dr. Baker, you alluded to this. I was just going to ask the level offices, as principals and school offices open, we know there will be a new flood of information. I know principals are sending out Instagrams and text messages, and some are setting up Zoom meetings and those kinds of things. Can you talk about some of the things at the level office that parents can expect to hear? It's, again, I'm excited to have as many kids back on campuses as possible, but we're out of the habit. So as parents and family community, what can we expect to hear from principals and sites over the next, starting on Friday?
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually starts at the elementary level, or continues, I should say, tomorrow, and that we have all of our elementary principals together, elementary and K principals together for a full day of a meeting. And part of that will be just getting them up to speed on reopening school, opening the school year beyond just the health and safety protocols, but the instructional components, the assessment components, the ways we want to make sure we have quality interventions in place. So everything that would be required to open a school year effectively. Friday, we'll be back together with managers and principals, specifically talking with principals about some of the health and safety expectations that will need to be in place. So from there, as our school offices come back, as teachers start to come back next week, like every year, our principals will begin their communication push to their families. Everything from what are the expectations for the classroom-specific teacher, what are the specific expectations around entry and exit, like we did in March in preparation for our April reopening. So we're right now gearing up for all of the communication that our principals would need to provide them with the information. They'll then be able to tailor that to the specifics, like we did in the spring, the specifics for their site. And then over the course of next week, families should expect to receive that communication from the district and the specific site-specific information from families. And anything that a parent is feeling concerned about, they're absolutely available to call the school office when they open starting Friday and into next week. They can call our office. We can provide information if they don't feel like they're receiving it. But so it'll be both a big push for the communication and also an openness to answer any individual family's questions and concerns.
Yeah, I would just reinforce what Mr. Moskowitz just shared is a reinforcement of district messaging across our school sites. For those individual messages that are more catered to the individual school site, to the individual level, probably expecting some more targeted communication, utilizing our existing platforms, so school messenger communication going out. Once our schedules go live, utilizing Canvas communication as it relates to that, and then specific communication to individual families. I would say in particular to those families that were probably more disengaged last year. So utilizing our data to reach out specifically to those families that were more chronic in their attendance last year to make sure that we have that specific communication and outreach, knowing that they were disengaged and being proactive in that outreach.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I believe we have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with one absence. Next item is personnel evaluation. The pilot speech and language pathologist MOU. Mr. Rockenbach, could you say a few words about this?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present. What we've asked before you is an MOU that is an agreement between our Teachers Association of Long Beach and the district to revamp our evaluation document for our speech and language pathologists. Over the course of the last 2 years, we've been meeting in committee with a joint effort between TAUB and our district to try to create a measure that is more meaningful for the professional development and growth of our speech and language pathologists, and one that aligns more closely to what they do day to day with our students. And I'd like to publicly thank the team that were involved in that, and included Amy Culligan, Megan O'Brien, and Nok Vin, who were speech and language pathologists themselves. They were a part of that ongoing committee, along with other teachers in the district, Jerry Morrison and Gina Bonacotta-Calapi, as well as principals Rose Fatata, Lori Grady, and then Dr. Heenan were also participants. And what you have before you is an MOU developed by the committee in an effort to enact this evaluation as a pilot program for the 21-22 school year. And as part of the pilot, we have 10 SLPs who volunteered to be part of that, along with their administrators. And what we will be doing with them is working with them side by side as they go through the normal evaluation process using this new form, but also gathering information from them quarterly to help us develop a meaningful training program for the balance of the administrators throughout the district, with the hope of being able to implement this fully with all of our SLPs during the 22-23 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Rockenbach. Can I get a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. No questions for Steve? Okay, great. Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with one absence. Board meeting schedule. So this is just to switch our meeting in September, right, Dr. Baker?
This is due to a Jewish holiday, that there was an oversight in scheduling on the same day that a Jewish holiday begins.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
I would just point out that we are recommending moving the meeting from September 15th to September 14th. So it's one day, and that is a Tuesday. So just so people know.
Thank you. Yes, we're not canceling the meeting, Mr. Otto. We're just rescheduling from Wednesday to Tuesday.
Do I have to come?
Any other discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you
Yes.
vote? Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with one board member absent. Superintendent's contract.
Move approval.
Second.
Any information that we want to share, Dr. Baker?
Yes, I have a statement to
Yeah.
read. Prior to the board's consideration of the recommended approval for the amendment to the employment agreement for the superintendent in alignment with SB 1436, which requires orally introducing actions on items impacting compensation of executive staff, this agenda item involves the amendment of the agreement for the superintendent to extend the contract and all dates in the agreement by 1 year. The amendment does not increase the total amount of the district's fiscal obligations above the existing employment agreement, except for the extension of 1 additional year.
Any discussion?
Yes. I would like to congratulate our superintendent on her first year. She came in at a very difficult time, probably the most historically challenging time you can imagine. She's had the audacity, capability, compassion to lead us through She's also been able to handle big changes as far as a communication audit, a curriculum audit. We now have the equity leadership team. You've been able to leverage the efficacy of this board. There are so many things that you've been able to do in a year that would otherwise just about cripple somebody. But you've come in and handled not just the day-to-day business and management of the district, but you've gone above and beyond what we could have expected. So for that, I want to congratulate you and thank you. And it's been a pleasure to work with you. And I am excited for the future of this district, and you're a very big part of that. So thank you.
Mr. Otto.
Yeah, very briefly, I don't have the same perspective as my colleague sitting next to me because I only got here in late December. It wasn't for a full year, but I've been very impressed with Dr. Baker's efforts, her accomplishments during very difficult times. These contracts are very oftentimes four-year contracts, and then they are annually renewed. So this isn't something that's brand new or that other people don't do. I think in my career in higher education as a member of a board of trustees or education, I have on 16 separate occasions extended contracts. Maybe it's not 16, come to think of it, but close to it. For the additional term once a year has gone by. And so I don't want anybody to think that this is unusual. It basically moves forward what was decided last year. And I support this with gratitude and appreciation for the work that Dr. Baker has done during these very difficult times.
Any other discussion? So that means my signature isn't as important and unique and significant on this contract, Mr. Otto? It happens all the time?
I think we're going to have the vice president co-sign it with you.
Okay.
Just to
Make it special. Dr. Baker, congratulations on making it through this first year. Yeah.
Dr. Benitez, we didn't have a motion.
That's great. Thanks.
We haven't voted.
I moved at the beginning. Before
And we had a
Amy
second.
spoke.
This is part of discussion, didn't we?
I seconded it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of discussion here, Leticia.
I made the motion. I made the motion before Ms. Takahashi spoke. I may have jumped the gun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you withdrawing your motion?
No.
No way.
I'm trying to. I'm about to give Dr. Baker a major props.
That's going to have to wait a minute. It's been a long couple of days, and may I just add, Letitia's been here from, I don't know, before sunrise,
Yes.
probably for a couple of days in a row. We've kept her late, so.
Well, I can congratulate her for the first year. That doesn't mean that we have to have a vote right now, but I echo all the sentiments, and you made this year count in many different ways, Dr. Baker. So looking forward to starting this school year in person with as many students safely as we can, and building on the work and on the vision that you've laid out this past year. So now is it okay to vote, Board Member Kerr?
I was just, Brent was flagging you down, and was Letitia was.
Come on, Brent, you're not going to let me finish off with a... Okay. Let's take a vote then, Mr. Otto.
Aye.
Ms. Craighead.
Aye.
Ms. Kerr.
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with one absent board member. Now, no trust in your president? Come on, Brent. Let's see here. Report of board members. Let's start with Ms. Kerr.
Well, I will keep it brief because it's been a really long, extraordinary 2 days. I am really excited to have students come back to school. Welcome to the new school year. I know that there are lots of worries and anxiousness, and we always have worries and anxiousness around the first day of school. But I'm really excited to see our students and families back safely on campuses. I want to thank the teachers and administrators and staff who have participated in multiple trainings over the summer to be ready for them with new ideas. I mean, we talked about what summer programs look like and ways of connecting back with our community, and I'm really looking forward to us continuing to do that. There's just so much good happening, and I know that there's worries and frets and all of those things. Thanks to facilities for a great groundbreaking at Jordan High School as we continue the ongoing renovation and transformation of that school. North Long Beach is grateful for the dedication and the investment in our students up there. Thanks to everybody who presented, to those who spoke yesterday and today. We continue to listen and engage. And that's enough for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Board Member Kerr. Ms. Craighead.
Yes. I would just like to thank everybody for the presentations over the last couple of days. It represents a lot of work. So thank you, everyone. We know the effort being made. And happy first day of school for CAMS and Sato today. I think that was today. It is today. It is today. That happened while we were here. So congratulations to them. And just caution to the community, look out for our school kids. First day of school, first week, first couple of weeks, always treacherous around school campuses. You know, please allow yourself extra time in the morning. I know when you're in a rush, it's harder to pay attention to rules, but please be careful because we have our most precious possessions, as somebody said. I hate to say that, but somebody said it, and I'm going to repeat it. But we do care about the safety of our kids, so just everybody be careful.
Thank you, Ms. Craighead. Mr. Otto.
I too will be very brief. The business of education is very demanding and very, very rewarding. And it is because it's about the most important things in our lives. And yet, during the course of any year, there are special moments. And the beginning of school is certainly one of those moments. The work that's gone on in the last year, I want to identify specifically Dr. Brown for the work that she did with the Equity Task Force, bringing members of the community and people together to talk about a very, very difficult subject and doing a profoundly important job in bringing that home as a policy for this district and engaging us and challenging us going forward to how to do that, how to get that done, how to measure that, how to say we're getting it done. But classes are about to start. Everybody's got a lot of questions about what's going to happen, how is it going to be done, is it going to be successful? This is really kind of like the second start. There for a short time, we thought, oh, the pandemic's over, and we're just going to go back to normal. And now we've got this new variant, and there are questions that are up in the air. And so, what I just go back to is the business of education is very rewarding. It's very complicated, and the Long Beach Unified School District, in particular, does a very good job of doing that business. And so here we go. And in less than 2 weeks, we're going to have all of our kids back in class. And it's a very, very exciting time. I am talking to people in my neighborhoods about how much they're looking forward to all of that happening. And we've done a good job. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. I'll be brief as well. We're going on close to 12 hours here, and many of our staff more than that. So Dr. Baker talked about during our board workshop taking a pause this year when we start and doing a restorative restart. I had the opportunity to share some words with Mr. Zaid. Is it 300 teachers that are coming on board? 400? Okay, 268, close to 300 teachers last week at our certificated employee orientation. And part of what I shared is based on what Mr. Otto just shared, that, I walked out, Mr. Rockenbach had it on cue with Rapper's Delight, which came out in 1980, right around the time that I was starting my public school education. And I talked about the revolutionary experience that for me public education provided, much like this song from 1980 that no one thought would lead to a transformation in our music industry and would be a genre that would impact globally what we listen to, how we dress, how we speak, so many levels of our lives. So again, no one could have predicted that in 1980. And I also asked in that room how many of our new certificated employees were first-time college students. And the vast majority of the auditorium there at Cabrillo raised their hands. So I also want to iterate the importance that our education system plays on the lives and future lives of our students, but that our staff and employees are there every step of the way, supporting that path to success. However, our students and families and community members define success. And that's going to require, particularly for our new certificated employees, us going above and beyond in showing compassion, grace, empathy, respect, but also a critical consciousness to problematize and read the world and our position in it, and the power that a high-quality power public education can provide. So I would extend those words to all of our employees, all of our staff, our teachers, we had counselors there as well, I believe speech pathologists there, that we're starting a year like never before, and that restorative restart requires us to pause for a minute, because more than half of our students last year are coming back for the first time in person to school. We have many other students beginning their public school journey, much like I did in 1980. And when I asked students at Cal State Long Beach, can teachers change the world? Every single one of the students that I asked that question of can point to at least one, and in many cases, several teachers, counselors, staff members, principals that changed their lives, that positively impacted their lives. And so I would share with everyone that all of us here probably has a story about a teacher, a counselor, or more, a staff member. And so I think about Celeste yesterday presenting about the insecurities she feels at 16, the lack of opportunities for one of our 16-year-old students, and the connection that she made with our facilities folks, and the impact that has had, as she described in her own words, in her life. So I end with that. Right? Now's the time for us to step up, and many of us have been stepping up, but many of our students are coming for the first time in person with challenges that we may not even be able to imagine. And we're still in a pandemic, right? So many of these challenges persist in these homes, in our neighborhoods. And so thank you to our staff Thank you to our executive team. Thank you to my colleagues here for the opportunity to serve our communities and for the opportunity to positively impact the lives of every single student in our district. Superintendent's report. Dr. Baker.
Thank you. I'm going to take it right from there, Dr. Benitez. And I just want to affirm something that you said when our students come back to school or come to the opening of school. Every one of our teachers has been provided a set of resources that empowers them to center relationships, to center care, to slow down, and to not feel the pressure that they may have felt in previous years to start in the way that they've started, and to really know that we support and empower them to use the resources of Smart Start, which are based on a restorative restart that centers relationships and a building of a classroom climate that is healthy and helps a teacher to have the time to get to know students in a way that they may not have felt they were empowered to do in the past. And so I'm thankful for our curriculum office who has spent hours preparing those resources. And they also follow a week of Summer Institute where teachers interacted with one another, learned new things, revisited things that they knew before, and really pushed into this idea of excellence and equity in every classroom. And so I want that message to be out there. And for families, ask your students, what did they do that felt fun, that felt calm, and that allowed them to get to know their peers and their teachers as they come to school these in the next couple of weeks. I also want to revisit yesterday, Dr. Brown and Mr. Zaid provided a really strong oversight of current health and safety guidelines. So I want to do two things. I want to reiterate some of the things that were already said, because as we know, the more communication and the more time sometimes that we say something, the more it gets out into the community. And then I'm going to add to that with some additional health and safety information that is effective tonight that we're making the announcement tonight about. So I'd like to just remind the community what Mr. Zaid and Dr. Brown presented yesterday involves the answer to the question, how will students be kept safe during in-person instruction? The list goes like this. Masks. K-12 staff and students are required to mask indoors. And I just want to publicly state that the district will not violate the requirements that have been set forth by the California Department of Public Health or the Long Beach Health Department. The second was physical distancing to the extent possible in each classroom. In the spring, our classrooms were cleared out. Teachers, support staff cleared those classrooms out to create physical distancing. While it may not be the same as it was in the spring, there will be distancing in classrooms, and outdoors will be used to whatever extent possible. Teachers may convene reading groups, they may do a lecture, they may have students out on the lunch benches, they may have a second teacher. In our elementary schools, we have hundreds of additional teaching staff who may have groups either outside the classroom door, out using additional space that's available. Number 3, optimizing ventilation. And I just want to repeat again, it has been said, but it's still coming into question. Every classroom in Long Beach Unified School District either has a MERV 13 or higher HVAC filter or a standalone HEPA air filtration unit. Our facilities branch assessed every single classroom in the spring. So regardless of whether there's air conditioning or not, there are filtration units or a standalone HEPA unit. We have talked to staff and families, and will repeatedly do this, about staff and students staying home if they have any symptoms consistent with COVID-19. We will continue cleaning and hand hygiene. That cleaning involves really modern equipment that has never been used before the last year, to keep classrooms clean and to sanitize areas that are high touch areas across our buildings. You've heard that we are requiring vaccine verification and or weekly asymptomatic screening for staff. And there will be case reporting, contact tracing, and quarantine for staff or students. As Dr. Brown shared yesterday, we are in daily communication with the health department their recommendations, they're watching the data, and unfortunately, as the community knows, there has been an uptick, a fairly steep uptick in COVID cases. So the additional safety measure that we will implement, in consultation with the health department, we've made the decision to add COVID surveillance testing of all unvaccinated students to our COVID prevention measures. This is an additional layer of prevention, and it's something that we have control over. It's what the federal and state funds have been given to us to ensure that we are able to fund every prevention measure that we feel like we need. And at the direction of the health department, in consultation with Dr. Brown and our team, it has been recommended that until we see COVID declining in the community, that we start to use this extra layer of prevention for COVID surveillance testing. And so I'll stop there and just see if there are any, the board wants to ask any questions of Dr. Brown or me about health and safety, and then I have a couple of other things that I'd like to share.
I just want to thank you for the additional information. So there'll be 1 million text messages spreading currently around Long Beach right now about what you just said about asymptomatic screening of unvaccinated students. When can families expect to hear information about what that process will entail?
Yes, thank you. So by Monday, we will include in our community message up-to-date information about what that will look like. I will encourage, if there are families that want to know what testing looks like right now, on our YouTube channel, if they're thinking, well, what does it look like for a student to be screened for COVID? There are videos that are available from last spring that they could look at tonight if they wanted to, but by Monday, we will have communication out to the community that reflects this new information. As I share the last couple of things, I want to reiterate, the best place for students is in their school classroom. We know that there are reasons why that is not possible for some students, but when we hear about the need for social emotional support for academic growth, for the role of peers, for the need for care, there is no replacement for coming to school and being in a classroom that is grade level or age level appropriate with one of our talented teachers and support staff who is surrounding that classroom with what a family or what a student might need. And so speaking of that, I just want to publicly share again that we met our deadline of August 1st. On our district website, on the front page, is the Learning Acceleration and Support Plan. There was a question tonight in public comment about what is the district spending money on. I would encourage anyone to review the 5 board meeting videos that are available under the Learning Acceleration and Support Plan that describe the LCAP, the federal and state funds that have come in, the district budget, and how those have been braided together in service to our students. And what's represented in the Learning Acceleration Support Plan are major investments that are significantly funded by federal and state funds to support the needs of our students. That is publicly available. There's an introductory video that the public can access that describes how that plan is laid out. And so there was a question about the different presentations of the workshop. They are live streamed, of course, in 4 languages, and the videos get posted up. The quickest way for the public to access those is through the videos. I know that there are often requests for translation of the slides themselves. The quickest way to get that information while things are being translated is to watch the videos that tell the story of the segments of the board workshop. So, and I guess lastly, thank you, Board of Education, for your leadership, for seeing us through this time. This has not been an easy time for you. And I just want to say thank you to all of our staff. What you got to experience in the last 2 days, the depth and breadth of this staff's work is really incredible, and it's something that we can all feel very proud of. So to our students, we'll see you on August 31st. And to families that need support in making a decision about what's best for their students, we encourage you to be in your school office in the next week, making the best decision for your child.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any announcements, colleagues?
get vaccinated. If you are 12 or above, get yourself and everyone in your household vaccinated. There's information on our social media pages. I don't know if it's on the district website about partnership opportunities that we're working with the health department to make vaccinations as easy and accessible as possible. So there's parks and locations all over the city every single day for an opportunity for folks to get vaccinated before we come together again on August 31st.
Any other announcements? Can we get a motion to adjourn? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Stay safe.